Hey guys, Fat Buddy Cat here, and today we're going to be trying to put on the OMB Warehouse Governorless throttle linkage. It's going to go right here. Alright, these sit kind of loose, so just set it down out of the way. This installation is a little bit specific to these motors only because they have a trim ring, if you would, that goes between the fan shroud and the coil starter itself, and this little nub here is going to work to our advantage. On other motors I use little tabs that I make in order to put a bolt here, but this is going to hold it fine. Alright, so I got this thing blown apart like you would get it when you dump it out of the bag, minus a few washers. I believe those are 1/4 inch washers that I use. And I'm not sure if that's a cut rod for this already or another application, and I believe this is a stock throttle rod. Either way, we might be cutting or bending one to make our connection up in here. Alright, so this is pretty much everything you get, and I'm going to take you through it the best I can. This is really hard for me to get an angle on. But just an overview, you know, the throttle cable is going to come through this eyelet that's out here. So that's going to be outside, away from the motor, like that. So we're going to be after this bolt down here, getting this sandwiched in there. Alright, first off, we're going to have to loosen this coil starter, but we're not going to take it completely off except for this one bolt. Alright, and try to get you guys in here. On these motors, these are 8mm. It's easier if you use a 1/4 inch ratchet and a deep socket on these. This one here next to the pull starter is a little precarious to get to. We're going to remove this one completely. Alright, and then we're just going to loosen the one on the bottom. And we're going to loosen this one up here. Whoop. Let's hand tighten that. Okay. So, we know when this goes on here, alright, that we're going to hit a clearance issue with this in the fan shroud here, even though this one dips down instead of going straight across like the regular 196s and the Predators. You still won't have enough room. So, the first thing you're going to need is your bolt. Alright? So that's going to go through the bottom. Alright. Then I add one washer. And then the plastic spacer. Alright, now this is where I add all my extra washers. It's a nylock nut that goes on there. So as long as you get all the threads on, it's going to do what it's going to do. So this is basically just to get rid of some of the threads, give it a cleaner look. Oh, whoops. Let's back it up, guys. Almost forgot the most important part. This little guy. Alright? This thing goes on, I believe it's like this. I'm not mistaken. No, it might be. Alright, I think it goes on like that, alright guys? And basically what you're trying to do is that little hole there and that little hole there, that's where our spring's going to go, alright? Our rod that goes back to our throttle goes that direction. So if I were to pull this, I would be pushing that and opening the throttle. Okay, so that's the right way. Now we stack the washers on. See what I mean, guys? I'm doing this raw. I'm not going back and doing retakes. So if I were to install this wrong, you guys have to just watch a longer video, that's all. So alright, these are 11 millimeter. And you're not going to send it home, you're just worried about getting those threads on. So the nylock threads. Okay. Alright, so that's on there, guys. Alright, see how it's just on? It's a little bit loose, but that's okay. It gives us a nice free moving throttle. Alright, your next step is going to be getting this onto here. Alright, so we're going to sandwich this hole with that nub and the starter. Alright, so that one's kind of in there, and now we're going to line this one up, and this is also going to go between that ring and the coil starter. Alright, we can go ahead and tighten this up now. Make sure that your nub where it needs to be. Okay. Okay, guys, so that's tight. Okay, see how that worked? And now we're left with this. Let me stand up here. Okay. So our next step is going to be a spring. Or actually, we're going to do we'll do our throttle cable, all right? And then we'll figure out how long our spring has to be after we set our throttle rod. So let me see if I got a throttle cable sitting around here. Alright, I got a brand new throttle cable, guys. Alright. So we'll set that down. Or throw it on the ground and then pick it up again. Alright. Okay, so now you're left with these parts here. Alright, this is getting a lot easier quicker. This is going to go up here. Alright, now you can add more nuts. Here, let me show you some examples. This one, see this one here is set up with a double nut, and it's a longer piece that comes through there. Alright, and that's just, you can make an adjustment there and then lock the nuts I find once these things are set, there's really not a whole lot of adjustment. You know, this one, I don't know, I got fancy and used a piece of hose in between my washers. This was another one of those longer ones. Alright, and I just wanted to kind of get rid of all those threads that were hanging out there, and I thought that looked nice. So, on this one, this part is shorter. Okay, so we're not going to do anything fancy. We're just going to go straight up with it. Alright, so let me get my throttle cable. Try to get you guys in the shot. Something like that. Alright. So we have a throttle cable here. We're going to slide this over the cable. Okay? And that's our cable stop. And then I'll put the lock washer and then my nut. Oop. Alright, that's the way it's going to go, guys. Alright, so we're going to go through here with our assembly. Alright. And then we'll go with our washer and our nut, just like we planned. Now I'm just going to hand tighten this. Alright. So now we're left with this, alright? Here's our stop. Our throttle cable comes through. Alright, but it stops, so the only way it can go now is this way. Alright, so now we're gonna hook up the Clevis. Alright? If you put one of these in, make sure you remember where you put this. Don't discard it. Anytime you want to put a new cable, work on something, you got to remove this, or you know, add a new cable, whatever. It's easier if you don't lose this. Word to the wise. Okay. These are a lot easier to put on with a new cable, guys. I'm sure somebody makes one that's bigger, but this is made for this application. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and thread our throttle cable through the Clevis. See how I got the little Allen's bolt on the end, or screw, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just going to kind of start to thread that in, but I'm not going to set it yet. Okay, just so it's there, and I'll let the cable hang right out the end. Okay, so the next thing we have to determine is our length for our throttle. Okay, so I believe this was a stock length. I might have to make an adjustment to get this on. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, that's way too. See what happens, here it is, guys. This is what happens with the stock rod, okay? This overlaps here, okay? If you were to bend this up in the middle, you know, you can kind of put an arch to it, you could get it to work. But if you catch in here, your throttle can get stuck open. It's easier to cut them. Don't hold me to it, guys, but some of these kits might come with the cut rod now. I don't remember making this one, but I may have made a couple of them. It's 1 inch shorter, so let's try that one. If this doesn't work, I'll show you how to do one. Okay. See where we're going to be, guys? We're going to be out here, and that's at, you know, say this would be idle, and that's as far in that direction as we're going to go. So that is made for this. Alright, but let me show you something. Alright, this is how easy this is to do. When you have your stock rod, alright, all you're looking to do is get about 1 inch off of it. Alright, so there's your comparison. So all you would want to do is really come like a 1/2 inch behind this angle, right? And then make your first cut. Clip it off, okay? And then take a pair of pliers and hold it here, and then you would bend this downwards. Alright? Maybe I'll make one in another video. It's going to be a little difficult to do with this particular camera. I might be able to nail it with the GoPro though. Alright, but that's what you're looking for anyways. So let me go ahead and put that rod on. Yeah, this was what I thought. I forgot about this part, guys. You might be able to back our idle out. And just get this. Alright, it's in. Okay. Alright, so what I did there, guys, I just backed my idle screw right here out. This card came off of something else, so we're going to be resetting that anyway. But I was like, maybe a 1.5 turns out or so. Okay. Careful when you do this. If you're having a hard time and you can't get it with the adjustment here, don't force it, guys. You got to take this off. All right. The easiest thing on this motor is it's really, you know, just loosen this one here. This is after it's installed, guys. You can loosen this one and this one. Okay. Take this one out, and you can kind of pull the linkage back and get the right angle to get this on. It's also, you know, if you just take this right off, it's way easier to put on with taking the linkage off. You know what I'm saying? Like, take it all the way off, put the rod on, then make your connection here, then hold your linkage. You see what I'm saying? So just be careful when you're doing that. I've done this quite a few times. What you're looking out for is this here, okay? You don't want to break this. You know, another trick, I've seen guys use like hot glue, just kind of gunk this area up to help keep this rod in. And we're going to leave it like that. Luckily it didn't break on us. Alright, moving on. We're on the home stretch, guys. This is the easier part. Next we're going to set, now that we have our throttle, alright, you know we have full range of our throttle, okay, and we're not hanging up on anything up here. We're nice and clean, okay. Our next part is going to be doing this spring here, okay. This is going to be our return spring. So we're going to obviously want that back at idle, okay. Now we're going to back it right off. We're going to take it all the way back. Way back. It would help if they got it in there, guys. There we go. Okay, see what I did there? Okay, now we're at maximum, you know, throttle on, throttle off, throttle on, off, alright? So max off is where you want to be. This is kind of like what we're going for. This is an old spring. What this is your throttle return spring for your governor. Okay, so that's this big spring, not this little dinky one out here. It's the big dookie one, all right? And what this is an old one that I had used to make a return spring like that before, all right? Same thing, okay? So we're gonna have to cut that to fit. Now, just looking at it, it's too long on both ends, so we have to clip a little on each side. But we can get it in the general area, you know, and I'd say fully off. If we centered that spring, what do you guys think? You know, a ½ inch maybe to the bend. Okay, so let me grab my pliers. Let me get you guys set up here somewhere, somehow. Alright. Let me grab my snips. And take this big, dopey bent end right off. This end we're going to... So we have this now. We're going to straighten this out. Just a little. Okay. Then we need a ½ inch to the bend, right? So take that off too. Alright. So right about there we'll make our bend. Now I'm just going to leave it open like that for now, okay guys? And I'll look at it. That's looking pretty good, guy. Alright, in our next one, I'm going to go the opposite direction, alright? So this one will be up, next one we're going to go down. And we're going to do the same thing. About a ½ inch. Alright, I'm going to bend this one down. Like that. And we'll go ahead and leave about an inch of the hook. Alright, so we get something that looks kind of like that. Alright, then I'll just kind of test fit it. Now, you don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose. This one's pretty tight, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of length. See why you don't send the bend home? Because if you sent that home and you went to bend it again, you couldn't break it. So okay, I'm going to go ahead, show you what I'm working with you guys, sorry. Alright, so here's what here's about the length I have, okay? I'm going to go ahead and set this side, all right, and then I'll get back to you and I'll show you how we do the other side. Oop. Well, maybe that spring was too old, guys. Let me grab another one. Alright, I got a fresh spring. Same thing though, alright? We're going to cut this one. Make a hook. Alright, on this one I'm going to go like an inch out. I'll show you guys, hold on. Okay, so see what I mean about making mistakes, guys? Alright, so here's our spring. This will be easier this way anyway. Alright, I got it hooked in on the short end, cut a little bit off, then just made a hook. Alright, we pull it all the way this way so that our throttle is completely closed. And then, you know, that's pretty much going to tell us where our bend is going to be for our second hook, alright? And we'll make the hook right up here. And this one, we're going to go upwards, alright, so that we can get it through the hole a little easier. Obviously, we don't need all of this. So we'll cut some of it off. I don't know how much we're going to need to get through this hole. I took it off the other side. Perhaps I should have just taken this off. Alright, we're just going to loosen this. Alright, that was ridiculous. But we're in, guys. Okay, sorry about that. Trying to give it to you raw though, you know what I'm saying? It's worth it. Okay. So here's what we have. All right. Returns completely. Okay. That's good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pinch this off and cut the ends off. Okay, so now that we have a nice clean spring, see how I have that twist there? And I went under on this side because I had the room under here and over on this side. Just made it a little bit easier, even though you guys saw my struggle there. Alright, next is going to be this piece here, okay? This we're not going to set until it's on the bike itself. But I'll give you the rundown on it, alright? So, you know, that's your throttle stuff. This would be, if the cable's all the way this way, you know, that should be, depending on what type of throttle you have, you know, that, you know, really regardless of what throttle you have, if you have all the cable on this end of the shroud, then you should be at a closed throttle position. Okay? When you're at your closed throttle position, you're going to put tension on this cable. Then you're going to hook into your linkage, okay? And what you do is you're going to keep tension on this cable, all right? And I usually give it just a little pull, all right? Just so that there's constant tension on your return spring and constant tension on this spring, all right? And you'll pull it forward ever so slightly, all right? You know, and you can hold it like that, and then you'll tighten it with your Allen's key. All right. Like that. Okay. And so now what's happening is when this throttle is connected, all right, there's going to be a little bit of tension. See? See how nothing's really completely back to, you know, fully relaxed. There's always a little something there. All right. So we know that no matter what, it's going to want to pull itself back to a closed throttle position that way. All right, it's just better if you leave any slack in these things. And you know, you got a lot of little metal edges and stuff. Okay, like when I put this on, I'll probably squeeze this a little bit. And the reason is because if there's any play, if this cable ever loosens up, if these hooks get played in them, guys, they will get stuck on things, all right? And it can hold your throttle open on you, and that's really not a good situation. So in keeping constant tension, maintaining your bikes and your motors, you know, and paying attention to these things, you're really doing yourself a justice, all right? So, you know, that's a linkage in a nutshell. Sorry I made a few errors there, but you're going to do the same thing. You know, and all these motors are different. The other video I showed you that clip trick. That works really, really well, especially on the Predator 212s. All right? So, have a good one, guys. Make sure you do your things right. You know, don't try to do what I do sometimes and think outside the box, because sometimes it's better to leave things the way they're designed. All right? Have a good day.